Hey, this is Asbog the Gaming Arc. I'm bringing you another one-shot video in the series of 8-ball pool. These are videos of me beating the guy off the break only. I have other videos that I noticed where I can beat a guy, but usually at this level of play on the Vegas tables, usually the guy can go for at least, sometimes I get one-shotted, it's rare, and sometimes they'll want, most of the time I won't get one-shotted, but they'll leave like 3 or 4 balls on the table, and it's easier for me to win if there's only like 3 balls on the table, so I can one-shot them pretty easily unless there's a ball. So I have a real nice clean break. You see those striped balls surrounding the 8, so I have to break out those balls. But my logic is if I hit in that 9, it'll still leave like a pretty clean break off of that. So I go for this ball down here, which works out great. You can see the line bouncing off the rail, and that will actually go back and hit the 8 out. So I'm going to hit that with a little bit of strength, and I got lucky by getting the 6 out to bump the 9 out. So now the 9's in the middle of the table, and it's very easy for me to get at. I'm still solid, so I have a lot of options. So for this one, I can bounce. I can either hit this softly and hit the 1 ball in, or I can hit it with a little bit of strength and try to come down and leave some room. You see how those 2 striped balls are clumped there? Well, I can't really get a nice shot on that corner pocket, so I have to leave that on this side of the table, which is what I do. Then I'm going to bounce this off the rail again, because you can see on my cue, the aim is actually going. And I'm going to hit this with a little bit of power and a decent amount. And so I leave myself an option to hit the 1 ball in, but you can see I can hit the 4 ball in. So I'm going to hit the 4 ball in. And I want to hit that 4 soft so I can leave room to come back for the 1. So I can just hit the 1 in into the corner pocket down there. And then then I can push the 1 ball, I can push the cue ball a little bit forward, so I can either leave a shot for the 8 in the side or the corner pocket. I'm just aiming the shot up. So I don't want it to hit the edge of sometimes if you don't hit it correctly, it'll bump into the side pocket, like the small edge of the side pocket, so you got to watch that. Now I'm going to go for the side pocket here because it's just an easier shot. So I don't have to scratch it or anything or make a hard shot. I go for the easier shot here, and there's no chance of me really scratching at all on that shot. Before the next match begins, I'm going to talk to you guys about the break, about how I'm trying to one-shot people, and how you can become a better pool player once you start feeling more confident. What I noticed a couple times, depending on the player's stick, especially in the Vegas table, I didn't realize how important your stick was in this game. So, is this game pay to win? Well, it doesn't hurt. Like I lost to people that have the bar cue, or it looks like they're playing with a really terrible stick on the Vegas table, but it's only because I end up beating myself. For instance, I have to do a really good break. They have to get the balls to line up really good, and then if they are a very good player, yes, they're going to hit those balls in. But a vast majority of the time, they're not going to be able to get those balls in because of their cue stick, especially if they get like 1 or 2 hard shots that they have to do, and it requires them to have good spin. They're just not going to be able to do it. So how you become a better player, is you have a good break. Like 50% of the matches or more I play where the opponent breaks, there's a lot of balls clumped up in the table. You want half the balls on one side of the table and half the balls on another, and the more balls you hit in, the less balls that are going to be in your way for you to run out the table. This is the break that I'm trying right now, and I hit the 3rd ball down where the second line, the reaction line, if you want to call it, or the go line, or whatever it's called, lines up over the 8 ball. There really is in real pool, there's no reaction line like that, but it's where the ball would react to. And I'm trying to line it over the number 8 as much as I possibly can. And I hit it with max power, and I set it up near the bottom there, just because it's easier for me to drag down on my phone. and then I set it up on the 2 there at the very far end. So I'm hitting consistently the same spot every time. And you're gonna, if you hit the center ball, that middle, the 3 ball or the 1 ball in this case, every time in the top, you're gonna have a problem, because it's not a consistent break. Where this one, I'm trying to hit maybe like, usually what I see is there's always a ball that goes into the corner pocket. More importantly, it gives an open break. And I'd rather put the onus on my opponent to make difficult to clear out the table if he can. Better players, yes, they're going to do it, but this is one break that I'm trying and having a lot of success with it. As my stick has got better and my play has got better, I'm able to try to one-shot more, so I'm more confident than trying to do the forward spin just straight off the middle there, where normally you get like a couple balls clumped in, so you kind of have a denial on the opponent. So here's the break, actual break, and you can see it was perfect. I hit 2 stripe balls in. So I'm looking at the table. Normally you would want to try to go for stripes since you got 2 of them in. But you see the 4 is there. And I just want to break out that ball, so that's the shot I take. So I have to go solids because I want to break those balls up around the 8. So I just make that cut shot similar to the previous video. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go just for the easy shot. But I'm trying to get to the 4. That's the goal. The goal. The 4 is, there's only one way I can get that 4, and if it's right behind the 8 really, or around that area. So I'm looking for it. Fortunately, I have another shot. See, I'm looking to see if it's cuttable. And it is cuttable, but I don't have the right angle on it. So I want to get a position. I'm going to hit it soft enough to where I can just roll it in there, and so I can get a shot on the 4. That's what I'm going. If I don't have a shot on the 4, I can come back for the 7 in the side pocket there. But I do have a shot in the 4, and that's what I'm going to take. It's going to be a hard cut. There's no chance for me to scratch, but I'll be able to knock these balls out. Now the problem is when you make a shot like this, these hard cut shots, you end up hitting a lot of balls around with power. It moves balls around, so it might mess up your positioning. Fortunately, it did not really mess up my positioning that much. And that's where maybe a better player would not make that type of shot. But that was the only way I thought I could get the 4 out, so I was able to do it. My cue is a little better. If I was able to roll that ball into the 4 a little better, I might be able to get it. So I make the long shot there. And I'm thinking, like, how can I get the 8 there? So I just look, I'm putting my phone on my side so I can look to see, yeah, can I make the shot? Because if you look at the way it is now, it almost looks like the ball's going to hit the other one. Well, it's not. You know, the 7 might hit the 2, and it's just not going to happen. Now I wanted to give myself a good leave so I could essentially bounce that ball off the rail. And that's why I'm going to about the second line there to bounce it around. I still didn't hit it hard enough, but it's okay. I still have a shot for the 8 because I couldn't get past the 14 there. So that's how you win. And I just hit it very softly, or hit it semi-softly into that side pocket there. Got the same break going on here, and you see that ball actually went right into the side pocket again there. Another stripe. I'm looking here, and I notice the balls actually get set up randomly. Now, in normal pool, they're supposed to be set up a particular way, actually, so they're not supposed to be randomly set up like that, from what I understand. Like, you have to have a solid stripe, solid stripe. I want to bank that right off that ball there, so I can pull that ball off the 8. So that was a very good shot selection there. And I also went for a stripe. There's really, if I don't run the table out, the opponent really only has one maybe hard shot on the 7, but it's not terribly difficult, depending on his position in the table. So I'm looking to see how I can set this ball up. And I'm looking around the table, and I see that, I believe it's the 12, is a nice shot, because that's a challenging shot as well. Not a terrific leave because I blocked myself out on getting the 10 over there, but I can make a shot on the into the side pocket. Now I'm gonna have to go kind of hard on it, not too hard. See, with this kind of stick, you can see where the line is up. See, I don't have to hit that as hard as I thought. Now the question is, my positioning was a little off because I could have blocked myself and really give myself a problem. So I will only give myself one shot selection. I might scratch into the side, and this guy is like unlucky. I notice in the Vegas table, people are more competitive, like they're big time and they're talking, and like ranting and stuff, which is fine. I mostly just phase it out. Now if I get, yeah, see, this is the good shot right here. I hit the 15 in. See, what this guy's trying to do is they try to distract you a lot of the time. Just gonna hit it. Again, I don't want to block myself out. And again, do I get a little lucky there? Maybe. But this is a perfect leave because now I can just hit the 10. It'll bounce right off and leave me a good shot for the 8, and I don't need to leave a really hard shot. I mean, I don't know why this guy would think it'd be unlucky for me to beat him. You know, he just keeps like chanting unlucky. I beat him off the break. So, and then he just gave up. He rage quit. This is a lower table. We're at the Tokyo table, so it's not as difficult as the Vegas table because we don't have to call up. So there's more slop, in my opinion, on these tables. So I'm trying to line that right over that 8 number there, like I was talking about before. And it's difficult. There it's perfectly lined up. And so I get a very consistent break. And it won't happen every time. There's a little bit of randomness. But if you take the time and you set that ball up correctly, you might as well try to do it consistently as possible every time. Now I see the 2 solids over there against the rail that are bunched up. That could be a problem if you're solids. So I'm trying to think about what I want to do. Just solids seem a little more open. So I try to push the ball out because I didn't really see a shot. I don't want to go across the table and get blocked. Since we're on the Tokyo table, I can fish a lot. And by fishing, I mean I'm just looking for shots that I can easily make. Where in the Vegas table, I have to call it. And the Vegas table requires a little more foresight, a little more focus, but it's not that much of a difference. I can come down for the 4, or I can go for the long ball. It looks like I'm going to get that 2 out of the way because it's just kind of in front of the 8. The balls that are near the corner pockets are balls near pockets. Typically, I want to save because they're typically really easy for me to get around. I can usually manipulate them. I can go from one end of the table to the other. I want to hit the 4 in, and then I'm going to hit that 4 very softly so I can get room on the 1. See, I just go down to the 1 line. Perfect leave, that's fine. And then I can probably, so I don't want to get trapped, so I'm probably going to bank it a little bit, or I'm going to hit this with some speed. And I'm going to try to come down the table to give myself a shot on the corner. So I'm going to actually put some English on it. Yeah, because I just want to roll that ball out. And I'm probably going to come down to about the 2nd line, going to the 3rd line. And that means I probably hit a little too hard. But that's fine. Now I can combo or just go straight into those balls. By combo, I want to hit it softly into that ball. And I can hit it now, and then I'll bank it, come back for the 8. So I'll see where this is going to line up. And so I know it's going to come off the rail. And I just want to hit it into that corner pocket on the other side. So I'm going to hit it with some speed. So this is judging it. And I hit it way too hard. I didn't need to hit that hard. And unfortunately, I left myself a shot. So it worked out okay. The scratch potential is sort of high to go into the other hole. So you have to hit it with the right amount of speed. Unfortunately, this other ball was there to kind of like block it. You can see I got up to about over 140,000 chips. I got about 10 wins in a row in the Vegas table. I was playing really hot, which happens sometimes. You're just starting to read the table a lot more. And but sometimes you're going to get on tilt. Like you're going to just have a bad losing streak. for whatever reason, and you just want to keep focus. So I don't play anything below the Tokyo table now. One other thing I want to talk about is a chip management or a money management system that you want to do. Basically, I don't like to move up to a table unless I can play 10 games on that table. So the Jakarta table means I probably need to have about 1,000,000 chips roughly, because I think each table goes up about 5x exponentially. So I want to be able to play at least 3 or 4 or 5 games. And so normally, let's just say the Vegas table, to get to the Jakarta table, I think the entry fee is 50,000 or something. Yeah, it's about something like that. It's pretty high up there. So it means I want to have enough chips so I can go back to the lower table and play more games. So but it takes a lot to move up tables to have the proper money management, because otherwise, you have like a 60 or 50% chance at this skill level just to lose. So you want to make sure that unless you're just getting so good, like you're again on just a massive winning streak like I was the other night, where I would beat people pretty much consistently in 2 shots all the time. You want to just make sure your money management is correct. So somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 times the amount of chips it requires to do a buy-in for the next table, I find to be a really good strategy. The 8 is blocked in there, but hopefully now I can hit this ball in. I'm fishing for a shot, but I want to be able to leave an angle on this shot, and I'm going to try to hit the ball hard enough. And I'm doing my best to spin the ball out, and I hit it wildly. Those wild shots are okay, and part of it's just me learning the English on these more difficult shots. The really, really good players, probably like the level 90 players, basically one other guy I've seen on YouTube, could spin that perfectly into that ball with the right amount of speed and everything. This is perfect, but I don't really have a shot on the 8, so I'm gonna have to probably put in back English to put it back. Now to make this next shot, since there's really not a shot on the 8, I don't want to sneak that 8 or try to bump it off the 9 ball there to try to get in the side. So I'm going to have to put a lot of English on this. So roll that ball back and leave it very good for the 8. This was an amazing leave. And that's not luck. That just takes practice. Everything there's always a little luck. And I want to hit this. This is all like a long ball shot, but I'm able to make the shot a lot easier with this cue. Without this cue, I would not be able to make the shot. And I'm hitting it very softly, so it can bounce off it, but I look like I got it really square. Setting up the same shot here. Same break, and you can see all these breaks, these good breaks are allowing me to one-shot people. And there's a lot more one-shots. Now this was one case, I guess, I missed the break. But you can see my opponent, he just scratched, like he hit it way too hard for no reason, and this is over. Now like I'm gonna one-shot this guy. But we have a few balls clumped up around the 8 ball, so I'm trying to figure out how am I gonna break those balls out. Well, I'm just gonna hit the 2 in and just knock out the 8, and then I'm gonna just start making shots. Really, that's how it's gonna work. But I'm trying to figure out the angle to get that 2, to hit the 2 just right. So I'm moving the cue around, and I was able to do it, but I did not leave a good shot. But I noticed on the other side of the table I have a shot there, so that's what I was noticing. That's why it took me a while to make that shot. Now I'm gonna try to bounce it to the middle of the table so I can make a shot on the 7. Oh no, wait, the red ball, the 3. And then I'm just going to try to probably hit it very softly so I can hit it in the side pocket. And all it took was one bad shot from this guy to lose. So that's really what the Vegas table is all about. And just playing higher than a Vegas table. I noticed that there's like 100,000 plus players playing on the lower table. See how good that leave was. And sometimes you can put top spin for going forward, but most of the time you can just hit it with a certain amount of power in the distance from your cue to the next. So I just able to roll that ball perfectly out. And I'm just looking. I'm gonna probably try to make. I'm looking to see if I can make that shot. And I'm looking, and the way I'm looking, I just think it's gonna be too close of a shot to make. So it's gonna be too difficult. This was my original shot I would make. So on the Vegas table I would make it, but I still might square up the other ball. And now I want to bring this ball back, and I'm trying to just create a shot to roll the ball back, but I didn't put enough spin backwards. But I'm leery of scratching. But so what I was trying to do also with the backspin is leave a shot on the one where I could bank it. And I'm really debating. I'm like, man, should I make the shot? So like some people, like this guy, King Tiger, where he's just like recklessly doing it, he'll just shoot it just because. But I'm gonna just bank. I'm gonna roll the ball backwards. Hopefully I'll get lucky, leave myself a shot, and I do. And sometimes it's just luck, like English, knowing the English, knowing the amount of that, because there's a lot of balls I can connect to when I'm rolling that English ball back. Like I don't know with absolute certainty. Now I roll that I want to roll it to the side, so I can bump out his 15 and have even a better shot on the 8, and that's what I do. It's fantastic, fantastic leaves. And you can see it now. I don't want to scratch. It looks like I might scratch into the side, but it won't happen. It's a deceptive way. You have to kind of know that it's not going to happen. This is a really good game. I want to highlight just why it's important to play defense sometimes, especially on better end tables. And we're going to see I'll end up winning this game, and I'm going to pause it at the very end and explain to you why I didn't make a shot and basically purposely scratched, because I'm just relying on my opponent to choke. So I'm looking at the 15, and sometimes this will happen, like the break will happen like that, and the 15 or the ball will be connected right to the 8 because the 8 will have not moved at all for whatever reason, just because the break was just, not fantastic. So I don't want to be stripes because it's very difficult to make the 15. The only way to make the 15 is if you actually have it behind the 8, because you won't make it. It's deceptive. Like you might be like, oh, I can hit that into the side. Well, the thing is, it's ever so connected to the 8, and typically you will miss the shot. It'll bounce off the 8 because people hit it with a certain amount of speed. It's just actually a difficult shot, so you have to have it set up behind the 8 to make it. So I choose solids because of that. Again, it's just a connected ball, and it's easier for me to play solids. Now I can hit that 8 into the corner, no problem. So I'm just trying to give myself good leaves and everything like that, and I'm trying to think about how I can try to get it, and eventually I'm going to start using English to try to see if I can pop that 8 out. But right now I'm just making balls in the balls where I can get in. I just hit this ball with perfect speed to have a good leave on the 4 if I want to do it. I have a couple options. The 4 is really good for me to get, and then I can just hit that really soft. And I changed my mind on this shot. I want to add a little English so I don't get blocked out by his other ball being there. So boom, get it, and I just roll that ball. That's where using English is pretty good, to give myself options. Now, in retrospect, I could have went for the other ball, the 1 ball, and tried to bank out and knock out the 8. But I just felt like going for this ball would be easier, and that way I could just come back and get both balls. And I didn't give myself a good leave. For whatever reason, when I did that English, it like messed up. So now I'm going to make, this is okay, but what I have to do is I have to make the 1 in. I'm going to hit the 1 very softly. And then I'm going to leave enough space to go for the 5 to do a difficult cut. So I do hit it softly. Now the question is, did I block myself from the 9? And the answer should be no. But I have to hit this ball hard, and you'll see what happens when you make difficult cuts. is that sometimes you will get lucky, and sometimes you're not going to get lucky, like as you'll see just in a second. And sometimes you'll knock balls out, because I can only really make the 8 one way, and I hit the ball. I have to hit that ball so hard. And that's the problem with doing difficult cuts. So I pause the video here, and you can see that I don't have a good shot on the 8 now, because I had to hit it so hard, and also I've made the situation work by blocking out the 12. But the longer I look at this shot, I realize that the 15 is extremely difficult for it to get, and I just think that the 12 is also a difficult shot to get as well. So I have to rely on my opponent being so good that he's going to come behind the table, hit the 15, English it back, and do a backspin to get to the 12. Now all the other balls are pretty easy to get, right? So the question is like, what would you do, in this situation? I'll tell you what I did. I didn't make a shot. I don't want to take a bad shot on this 8, because there's no way to get it out. Even the way I eyed it up, there's no way to get it to the corner. So I end up purposely not shooting, or you just hit the ball very softly to purposely scratch. But I try to just play a game with my opponent too. I know I can't make it, so also what I end up doing is just not making a shot, so it looks like I just ran out of time. But the reality is I can make that shot if my opponent scratches for any reason, or if I think my opponent will eventually knock out one of those balls, and it'll give me an opportunity to win the game. Ultimately, how this game did play out, which I don't have the rest of this game, but you can try to see where I'm talking about this at the end there, where you'll see I cannot make that shot, is that the opponent did scratch somehow on some shot, and I was able to, he left those 2 balls together still, and I had a nice shot on the 8, and I made it, and I won this game. And this is a situation of strategic defense. It's just knowing that your opponent has to be a certain caliber of player to beat you. And now sometimes opponents will just get lucky. They'll make cuts, and they'll be able to knock those balls out. But I'd rather them be lucky and have to make difficult shots than for me to try to knock that ball out and leave them with just an easy way to win. So I don't want to. I hate beating myself. Do you see what I'm saying? I've gone throughout the whole table here. I've hit every ball in except for the last ball. Now the question is I can't get to that last ball, but I've also made it strategically very difficult for my opponent to win. So I make a strategic point to make my opponent basically scratch and end up winning the game. If I would have hit the 8 out just to try to make it, I would end up losing. You can see that 12 actually rolled in a little bit farther, so it makes it even a harder shot. And you can see me trying to aim this shot up, and I can't get it, so I strategically don't make it. I mean, look, you cannot make this shot. There's no way to make this shot at all. So I don't do it, but I eventually win the game. Hey, this was Asball. Hope you guys like One Shot Pool. Like, subscribe, comment. See you in the next chapter.